Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio. So today, we're going to be talking about Alolan Meowth. Now, this is super weird, right? Because I don't usually do videos on pre-evolutions. I do when they're necessary, but most of the time, pre-evolutions aren't good enough to get their own video. Now, there wasn't a Alolan Grimer the other day that did, I think it was 20 base damage plus 50 for each special condition on the defending Pokemon for just a double colorless energy, and I was like, that's awesome, that gets its own video. But we're going to be talking about Alolan Meowth today, and the weird thing is, this is not the first Alolan Meowth that's had its own video. What's even weirder is, this is not the first Alolan Meowth in the past couple of weeks that's had its own video. To be fair, we chucked Persian into the last one, but Persian kind of sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a second Alolan Meowth, which is awesome. Now, it actually came out in the promo pack, the kind of gym pack over in Japan. The same one that gave us the Alolan Marowak GX. The same one, in fact, that gave us Energy Spinner, the card we looked at just a few days ago when I realised we hadn't talked about it, and that was a little bit naughty. So, quite frankly, I'm starting to think I should have found a way to get some of these promo packs from Japan. They're kind of full of good cards. And this Alolan Meowth is awesome. Now, the 60 HP isn't in and of itself awesome, although I will give it credit for the fact that it can be searched out with Professor Elm's Lecture, which lets you search your deck for free Pokemon with 60 HP or less and put them into your hand. So the fact that it can be searched out with Professor Elm's Lecture is pretty cool. I'm not giving it credit for the fact that it's weak to fighting, which means that Boswell will have a field day here, because it can get a one-hit KO without using Diancie Prism Star. And when I say Boswell, I mean either the GX or the baby Boswell. Hey Nick, it doesn't matter, either of them can get the easy KOs here. And I'm not giving it credit for the fact that it's got a retreat cost of 1, because I want a retreat cost of 0, although I will say that one's a little bit petty. And I'm certainly not giving it credit for the fact that it can do 10 damage for 0 energy. Yes, fine, I suppose you can whack a choice band on there, and if you're hitting for weakness, you do 80 damage to, say, a Dawn Wings and a Crowsmar or a Bayonet. Fine, I suppose. I mean, look, if you really want to get a little bit silly here, and I don't think you should, but if you're, say, up against a Shuppet and you play a Professor Kukui, you can get a one-hit KO here for 0 energy. None of this excites me, ladies and gentlemen. The ability, however, excites me very much indeed. What the ability says is that once during your turn, you may discard a wait-and-see hammer from your hand and then draw 2 cards. It draws 2 cards on the bench as a basic Pokemon. Oranguru draws until you've got 3 cards in your hand. That's great, it won't often draw you 2. Alolan Sandslash draws you 1 card and it doesn't see any play because it's a stage 1 and it only draws you 1 card. This draws you 2. Essentially, this means that if you draw a wait-and-see hammer, it turns it into Bill. Now, for those of you that weren't playing back then, Bill was an over-the-top broken card, which was in the base set, which just let you draw 2 cards. And I know that might not sound amazing, but it really was, because it was a trainer card. Back in the base set, we had no such thing as supporters. They were all item cards. They were all trainer cards, as they were called back then. You could play them as and when you felt like it. So you drew a Bill, you played it to draw 2 more cards. It made your deck faster. It made your deck more consistent. If you've got an Alolan Meowth on the bench, wait and see hammer becomes Bill. For all those of you that have been saying, oh man, I wish we had a Bill reprint, we've had a Bill reprint. It's this one. Kind of. You might be thinking, come on, Wassy, getting an Alolan Meowth on the bench, that's not the easiest thing ever. Well, it's not far off it. Fine, it's neither water nor fighting type, so you can't use Brooklet Hill, But Nest Ball's seeing a lot more play since the rotation hit. That gets a basic Pokemon. And Professor Owl's Lecture is going to see a lot of play when it's legal. So no, I'm sorry, it's really not that difficult to get it on the bench. And then Wait and See Hammer becomes Bill, except it doesn't become Bill, it becomes better than Bill. Because you see, Wait and See Hammer didn't get its own video. Yeah, I did a video about it. I'll pop a link in the description. But Wait and See Hammer didn't get its own video because it didn't particularly excite me. It was kind of like a crushing hammer, except you guaranteed that you hit heads. Just so long as it's your first turn going second. It was literally Sneasel from Ultra Prism's attack, but as an item card. But if you went first, you couldn't use it. So essentially, you could only use it when you went second. And after that, it just became a garbage card, and the most you could hope for was using something like a Zoroark to trade it away, or, I don't know, maybe using a Swampert to discard it and draw 3 cards rather than the 2 that Zoroark would give you, using a bit of the old power draw ability. No, ladies and gentlemen. The issue was that you kind of had to play 4 to try and use it on turn 1, but the chances of actually drawing it turn 1 was still only about 50%. And even then, you'd have 3 dead cards in your deck, unless your opponent played like 3 Aqua Patch on turn 1, at which point you could keep using Wait and See Hammer. I wasn't loving it. But now I am loving Wait and See Hammer, because if you go second and find it turn 1, you discard an energy card attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and that's actually kind of cool. And as long as you've got an Alolan Meowth on the bench, the rest of them just turn into Bill. It's kind of like an Acro Bike, but instead of drawing 1 and discarding 1, it's drawing 2. It's kind of like using a trade when you've got an Execute in the discard pile, in that you just draw 2 cards without discarding 1. This makes Alolan Meowth great. Now, it's only 4 times during the game, right? You're not going to be able to do it over and over again. But seriously? You're digging for that double colourless energy? We don't have a way to search for it. Energy Lotto is literally the best we can do. So you play a Cynthia, and maybe you don't actually end up drawing the double colourless energy, but you draw a Wait and See Hammer, so you get to draw 2 more cards. Maybe you'll draw it. It really is great draw power. It's 5 cards in your deck to draw 8 cards throughout the game. And I'm totally okay with that. It is a really good use of resources. Now, not every deck is going to be able to use this. First of all, it's an item card, so that might make you slightly more vulnerable to Garbodor. That is a slight issue here. And you might not have space in your deck, but we've all played those super fast decks where all we want to do is set up. We've all played decks with 4 Acro Bike. Well, here, it's arguably better than something like Acro Bike. Now, the other thing we do have to mention here, of course, if you play 1 copy of Alolan Meowth and it ends up in the prizes, which should happen roughly 1 in 10 games, then those Wait and See Hammers 2 become dead cards. But this is basically Bill. And I know a lot of people, myself included, have wanted Bill back. I mean, look, if I'm playing an Incineroar deck, just another excuse to get this artwork on the screen. It's beautiful. Then I'm probably playing a stage, well, I'm definitely playing a stage 2 and a whole bunch of other stuff. I probably don't have room to play something like this. But if I'm playing a speed deck or a basic focus deck, if I'm playing something like Boswell and I just really want to draw into those Beast Ring at the perfect time, maybe something like this is great. I'm a big fan of this. And let's not forget, just the other day I showed you the new Alolan Meowth that on your first turn going second does 70 damage for 0 energy, which I still contend is going to be a source of donks if people actually use it. I certainly will be, just get that out there, right? I'm going to be putting this in decks. I feel like I'm going to win some cheeky games with this. We still haven't got a good Alolan Persian. There's not a single Alolan Persian that has been released or has been revealed and released in Japan or revealed in Japan or that we know about. None of them are good. I have no love whatsoever for any Alolan Persian. The best one we've got is the one that was revealed a couple of weeks ago, whereby you do 90 damage for 0 energy if your opponent's got no energy attached, and then you do like 30 less for every energy they have got attached. No. No. That's not a good attack. It's not a good Pokemon. I legitimately love this Meowth. And I don't think it's an every deck kind of card. I think if you're playing speed decks, this is phenomenal. And if you're playing setup decks, you're probably not going to use it. Even though it would be great to use it to dig through an extra couple of cards looking for that rare candy in a Stage 2 deck, I just don't think you're going to have space to play it. But you put a Pokemon on the bench, which can be easily searched out, and then you've basically got 4 Bill in your deck, except if you draw them on your first turn going second, they're even better. I love this. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and you know, maybe this is a little bit over the top excitable for me. Maybe it's not going to see any play. Maybe neither of these Meowth will see play. Maybe I'm just being an overly excited Wossie and I don't care. I adore this Alolan Meowth. I think some speed decks are absolutely going to play it, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll happily admit in a future video that I was. But for now, I'm loving it. But I want to know if you're loving it. Oh wait, there's a comment section. That would be an excellent place to do so. Go nuts, ladies and gentlemen, but do please remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.